I believe Catholicism is a gift that can never be fully appreciated, understood, or described. In order to even begin to appreciate the beauty of Catholicism, we must first of all experience it. My interaction with a lot of people have affirmed that people love the church. The press may fault it. Falling away Catholics may ridicule it. Practicing Catholics may even criticize it. Yes, these are all affirmations of love, I believe. A desire for the church to be the beacon of life it should be. Sometimes love goes sour, like it has for many modern Catholics in their relationship with the church. When love goes sour, it's usually because of one of four things: misunderstanding, selfishness, pride, or an unforgiving spirit. Sometimes a combination. When most people are in conflict, both parties are sometimes at fault. It is true that in history today, the Catholic Church have a lot of problems. I understand that. However, I see this as an opportunity for us to change, an opportunity for us to grow, an opportunity to draw people from where they are to where God wants them to be. I see the challenges of our age as an opportunity to tell ourselves why we are Catholics in the first place. Join me on this talk show, Let's Talk Catholic with Kizito Ozoemena. Here, we will be interviewing bishops, archbishops, the priests, laity, reverend sisters, and a whole lot of other people on the Catholic Church perspective on certain subjects, and most importantly, why they took those stands. Is the church in the best version of itself?
Do you think the Catholic priest should be led to take active part in the Nigerian politics?
Find out these and many more on Let's Talk Catholic with Kizito Ozoemena, only on wowcatholic.com. Welcome to your favorite talk show, Let's Talk Catholic with Kizito Ozoemena. Today we are going to be looking at the Catholic Church and politics. It was Edmund Burke that said that what is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Then if this is true, why then are priests not allowed to participate in politics? To do this here with me today is Reverend Father Silvanus Ame, a priest of the Archdiocese of Abuja, Assistant Parish Priest of St. John the Baptist in Pape. Father, you are welcome to the studio today.
Thank you very much.
So like we are saying, what should be a Christian's perspective to politics? Should a Christian shy away from politics?
No.
Okay.
No. Every Christian is a citizen of a state. By state, we mean a nation. Every Christian is a citizen of a country, and every Christian is supposed to have a stake in what happens in their country. The political arena of a state, the political climate of a state affects everybody, both Christians and non-Christians. And if Christians do not take part in the political life of their country, then they leave a lot of things to chance. And if that happens, things may begin to happen in the life of the country that will be detrimental to their Christian faith. So Christians are normally supposed to be part of the political life of their country. Scriptures enjoins us also not to shy away from politics. For example, St. Paul says in his letter to Timothy, 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 to 2, that Christians who will be his audience should keep in prayers the leaders of their countries. Why? So that they'll be able to live a good and peaceable life. That's one way that Christians can take part in the political life of their state. Again, the decision-making organs of every country should not be left to people who are not guided by the precepts of God. As a Christian, your watchword or your guide is God's word, God's precepts, God's commandments. So if you are involved in politics, if you are involved in the political life of your country, whatever it is that you are doing it with the fear of God and for the common good. So it is not something that we should run away from. Rather, Christians should be encouraged to take active part in the political life of wherever it is that they find themselves, to the extent that they can go.
Okay, you make it sound very interesting and very easy. But then if you are sounding like this now, should a priest, for instance, talk about political issues on the pulpits?
I will say yes and no. And that depends on what the priest is saying. A priest is first of all a citizen of a country before becoming a priest. And whatever happens in the country affects not just the citizens, but the priest also, and his parishioners, or the people to whom he is ministering. So a priest can address political issues in view of giving proper direction to the people that he is ministering to. But there is a limit to which a priest can go in talking about political issues. If, for example, you are preaching on a subject matter that deals with the welfare of the community, somehow political discussion can come into it. Not a discussion, so to say, but political examples can come into it. A priest can talk about the things going on in the political life of the country at that instance, to give example and buttress points that he's making. If, for example, a priest is trying to encourage his parishioners during the time of election to vote and vote wisely according to their consciences, that is a political talk. But he's not doing it as a politician, for example. What he's doing at that time is to guide his people to form their consciences. So that's talking about politics on the pulpit. That's why I said yes. But I also said no, because there is a red line that a priest cannot cross. For instance, a priest cannot on the pulpit talk about the political agenda or manifesto of a party or a candidate. So a priest cannot promote a party, promote a candidate from the pulpit. That's still a political discussion, but it is a no-go area for a priest. So yes, priests can talk about political issues from the pulpit, but no, they can't talk about some issues.
Well, I would say you gave examples of two extremes. Let us take, for instance, now the recent agitation in the country, talking about secessionists and all. Now, is it okay for a priest to categorically come on pulpit and advise for or against such topics? Because it's necessary, just like you said now, and just like we quoted Edmund Burke saying, it is necessary that our spiritual leaders give us a direction towards some of those things, because a lot of people hold their spiritual leaders to high esteem, and if they could either calm them down or aggravate them, you understand? So you gave your examples now are of two extremes. Now let us bring it a little to the center. Things like cessationists, for instance, what would they advise? Would they advise for a priest to say something about that on the altar or not?
Now that's a very dicey kind of circumstance you are bringing in as an example, and proper discernment of a situation should be a guide for a priest in talking about things like this. Let's take for example what recently happened in the southeast, using this issue you brought up now, with the military having their python dance and all that. And if I am a priest in the southeast where this is taking place, I will not encourage my parishioners to go on the street and have confrontations with the military men. It will not be in their favor. So even if they have the right to ask for secession from the country, it is a constitutional right. There are proper channels that they can use to address this issue. But if I am a priest and I am saying to my people, they are oppressing us, go out there and fight for your right, that's not the way a priest should address an issue like that. That's why I'm saying that discernment, proper discernment of the situation should be the guide for a priest. So I cannot as a priest come out and tell my people go out and fight, but I should also be able to analyze the situation and say to them, yes, we have the right to ask for this, but let us do it in a way that we will not be badly affected. I'm sure that the laws of the land have made provisions for issues like this to be addressed. Let us look at how we can use those opportunities and ask for what we want to ask for.
So a lot of people have lost confidence, they have lost faith in how things operate in the country, in communities, and the nation at large. Let's take the bull by the horn now. Politics. Is a priest allowed to contest for politics?
No. Why? Canon law forbids it.
Canon law forbids, but yet we agree that, just like from your introduction now, you said for parishioners and all, it's okay for them to talk about politics, to be involved in politics. But then we are talking about priests now who understands humanity more than every other person. Is it not going to be talking from the two sides of the mouth, for instance, now when you say you are allowed to advise your parishioners to go out and contest for political positions, but you as a priest, you now sit back and look at it? Or why does the canon law forbid it?
Now, Canon 285, paragraph 1 states that clerics are not to take up responsibilities or roles that are unbecoming of their clerical state. It's sort of ambiguous, but what that canon is saying is there are certain things that are off limits for a priest. For example, a priest working as a gynecologist, it is not a role, a function that is suitable with his person and his ministry as a priest. Politics is another area. Canon 285 paragraph 3 forbids priests from taking up offices that will have to do with the exercise of civil powers. Exercise of civil powers now be understood to mean legislative or executive or judicial powers. So a priest cannot be a member of parliament. A priest cannot be a governor, a facilitator, a president of a country. A priest cannot be a judge in a court of law. Expressly, Canon 285 paragraph 3 forbids priests holding political offices. And if you even take it a step further, Canon 287 prohibits priests from being members of political parties. So we must not be in active politics to influence the political life of the country. Just like you said, the words of priests are held by a whole lot of people in high esteem. A priest can conveniently influence the life of those he's ministering to be involved in political affairs without necessarily being actively involved. So, like I said when we started this conversation, I can give guidance to my parishioners. I can tell them the need for them to be involved and not to run away from political matters. But I don't have to be politically involved actively. How do you reconcile the fact of a priest who is, for example, a local government chairman or a state governor? The two offices are incompatible. I cannot be ministering to my people in the parish and at the same time be ministering to the entire state. I either will feed one and starve the other, which that is just what will happen.
Help us understand this better, because I understand that the ultimate commandment is love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Sure. Love God and love your neighbor.
God and love your neighbor. But Christ is more concerned about we loving our neighbors. Now, from what angle can someone love his neighbor more than from the political angle, where you could make laws to favor your neighbor, to favor humanity? Because if we leave this in the hands of non-believers, in quotes, don't you feel it's going to do more harm than good?
That is why we encourage people like you who are not priests, who are not clerics, to should be involved, so that you can influence the decision-making bodies of the country. If you, as a Catholic who understands your faith, you know what your religion teaches, and you are part of the decision-making organs of the country, and decisions are to be made that will not be for the common good, of course you will speak up. You will not just keep quiet and be looking. You will speak up. So your being there already serves the purpose of influencing what will affect everybody. So I don't necessarily, as a priest, have to be part of the bodies making the decision, calling the shots before things will go well.
Okay, but you see, you made mention of, you said to go further, that a priest cannot even become a member of a political party. Could you expatiate more on that? Why not at least even becoming a member of a political party when he's not necessarily coming out for... Okay, let us say, is a priest allowed to at least cast his votes?
Sure.
Now, if you can cast your votes in the long run, that is in general elections, you understand that political parties are structured in such a way where there are primaries before you go to the general elections. Now, why shouldn't a priest be allowed to be a member of a political party where he can at least cast his votes in order to make people like me, like you said, come out to represent them? Is it not quite confusing?
No, it is not confusing. Again, like I have said, we don't have to be involved directly to influence things that happen. Even from the sidelines, we can still make impact. We don't have to be involved directly. Are you getting the point I'm making? Now, a priest as a member of a political party, it is in wisdom that the church says that priests should not be involved with politics. The church, even though it is a member of a political structure, the church has a limit that it does not cross when dealing with issues of politics. And one of such limits is priests being members of political parties, priests contesting for political offices. While a priest can cast a vote in elections, a priest cannot be voted for. That's already making a contest for a political party. Do you understand the point? Now, the reason why the church says so, one of the reasons actually, is because our focus as priests is to form the consciences. Our major focus as priests is to form the consciences of people and believe that those that we have helped in forming will do what is right. So to speak, when you, as my parishioner, you are involved in a political party, I should be able to rest my mind knowing that whatever it is that you will be doing in that political party, you'll be doing with the mindset that you are coming from a direction, you are representing not just yourself, but you're also representing the church, and you are standing in for the good of the entire society. So I should be able to trust your decision, that whatever it is that you are going to do, you will do it with the fear of God and with the mind that your decisions can affect both the church and society, either positively or negatively. Do I necessarily need to be a football player before I can give a push to footballers to win a match? I don't necessarily have to be a football player. From the sidelines, I can also push the footballers who are in the pitch to win a match.
Okay, yeah. So far so good. We are still talking about the position of the Catholic Church and priest and politics. Let's take a break for now. I believe Catholicism is a gift that can never be fully appreciated, understood, or described. Join me on this talk show, Let's Talk Catholic with Kizito Ozoemena. Here, we will be interviewing bishops, archbishops, the priests, laity, reverend sisters, and a whole lot of other people on the Catholic Church perspective on certain subjects, and most importantly, why they took those stand. Is the church in the best version of itself? Find out these and many more on Let's Talk Catholic with Kizito Ozoemena, only on Wow Catholic gmail.com. Welcome back to your favorite talk show, Let's Talk Catholic with Kizito Ozoemena. Before we went on break, we are discussing with Reverend Father Ame on the position of the Catholic Church on priests and contesting for politics. And before we went on break, he was telling us why the canon law forbids a priest explicitly from contesting or becoming a member of any political parties. But then before we continue, we also want to join our correspondents on the streets, where she heard the position of the laities on what they think. Why should the church restrain priests from contesting from politics? So let us join our correspondents, Teresa Madu, on streets as she interviews some of our laity. Thank you.
Thank you, Kizito. It's a beautiful weather out here at Kaiser King Parish, Kuba. We'll be finding out from our parishioners their views on the topic, Catholic priests and politics. Do you think the Catholic priest should be led to take active part in the Nigerian politics? Join me as we find out this and many more.
As a Catholic priest, it is very much encouraging because morally they will do better than those who are not Christians as such. The scripture has even told us that when a righteous man is at the throne, the people will rejoice. But when a wicked man is ruling, then the people will suffer. Just like what we are experiencing today, I agree that the Catholic priest, by extension, all good Christians should go into politics.
I would strongly advise that they shouldn't. Reason being that the politics or Nigerian politics, it's something that it's not exactly what we see it to be. Some of them can be bought over. So the only thing is, I would say they can participate, but not actively. Like they can sensitize their parishioners on what should be done during politics. So I suppose that is the part that a priest should play. They should be able to tell people that you need to go and vote because your vote counts.
Absolutely. As a Catholic, when you are actively involved in the politics, to take human politics and transform it into God's politics.
My answer is yes, but there is a but with it, because the politics of our nation today is filled with so many wrong things. A lot of evil is attached to it. So many of them are diabolical. But one thing I know is that when the righteous is on the throne, people rejoice. And my prayer is that our priests should take part in politics, because these are men of God. And I know with that spiritual aspect of them and what God has imparted in them, there's going to be a lot of change. And I know once we start, before you know it, everywhere is converted.
I agree that Catholic priests should take part in politics, but not active. Not active in the sense that they should not hold positions, but they should be actively involved in encouraging their members and every Catholic to take part in politics. They should encourage Catholics to register for vote and also participate in politics, because the Catholic priests, they control a large number of the voting population. They should be actively involved by encouraging members to register and participate in politics, but they should not be partisan.
I would say yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because we need religious people in politics. We need people who have the mind of Christ in politics to be able to take the nation, to be able to take the people to where we ought to be, where God intended for this country to be. By the time religious people, by the time people who have the fear of God disassociate themselves holistically from politics, what we are going to have is what we are seeing today. And you agree with me that what we are seeing today, it is not that good. No, because Catholic priests are burdened or benevoled already with a whole lot of responsibility towards the church. They have a whole lot of responsibility attending to the need of people, the poor in the church, celebration of Mass, hearing the confession and other sacramental issues in the church. So by the time, for instance, when you ask a Catholic priest to be a governor of a state, or to be a prime minister, he may not be able to combine these two important offices together and perform effectively. So I would say, yes, Catholic priests can participate in politics, but not active politics. In my own opinion, they can even belong to political parties, sponsor credible candidates to ensure that leaders that will be produced eventually will be leaders that have the fear of God and have the intention, good intention, to make this country what God wants this country to be.
Okay, with this, you've heard the views of our parishioners right here at CKC Parish, Kubwa. Over to you now, Kizito.
So, welcome back. That was the voice pop with our own correspondent, Teresa Mado. At least we heard what they said, our parishioners, ladies, what they say, their own reactions as to as regards the subjects in questions. So we are here back with Reverend Father Ame. Reverend Father Ame, thank you for your time so far with us. So now, is it only politics that a priest is restricted from? You made mention of gynecology, for instance. That is, those are some certain areas that a priest are restricted to go. How about business, for instance? Is it just politics, or is business inclusive? What about business?
Before we talk about that, let me quickly point out something on priests being members of a political party. And I was saying that on the strength of Canon 287. And Canon 287 prohibits priests from being members of political parties and being members of the maybe governing boards of labor unions. But there's a clause to that. There's a clause to that canon. Though there is this prohibition, it is possible. I'm not saying it is a norm. It is possible, if competent ecclesiastical authority judges that it is necessary for the interest of the church and the common good, if there is a threat, for example, to the church and the common good, it is possible that ecclesiastical authorities can permit maybe a priest or two to be members of a political party, but not as to go in for the purpose of contesting for offices. Just like you were saying, talking about primaries, to front members of a party as candidates for an election, to choose as a candidate for an election. If it is judged that there may be a threat to the interest of the church and society at large, leaving this completely in the hands of lay people and politicians, the church may, please take note of that, the church may permit a priest, maybe two, depending on the circumstances, to be part of a political party, so that they represent the interest of the church. And know that a priest representing the interest of the church generally will also represent what will be good for all of humanity, not just members of the church, because the priest will have the heart of humanity to be able to look at things that may be harmful to society. That's what I just want to call attention to quickly.
Well, one of those instances where a priest is allowed to go, let's take for instance the national confab that would that be one of such situations?
That could pass as one, but that wasn't a political party thing. That was a representative thing, people from different walks of life. I can't precisely remember now. I can't remember, but I know that there have been instances where priests have been involved in setups like that, where issues are discussed for the good of the country, and a priest or two, and yes, one represent the interest of the church. But what that canon speaks about precisely is about being members of a political party, not just about a temporary setup that they just go to have discussions for the good of all. That is not a political thing per se, because even those who are not politicians were members of that confab.
So we are still going to answer our questions based on business. Yes. What is the church's perspective on priest and business?
Just like with politics, the church does not permit priests to do business. Canon 286 prohibits priests from doing business either for themselves or for others, by themselves or through others, for their own profit or for the profit of others. So simply put, priests are not to be involved in business.
Some people have natural flares for something. The church should also be rich enough to be able to help its parishioners in one or two circumstances. Now, are you saying even if we have a priest who is good as regards business, who has the potentials of making money for a church or for an organization, he should not exercise such rights?
That you have a gift in something does not necessarily mean that you must exercise that gift if it is not in conformity with your state of life. We have priests who are very good footballers. Will they be part of a football team, playing in the national team, playing in other leagues? Of course not. We have priests who are very good basketballers. Will they also be part of basketball team, playing to represent their countries, playing to represent clubs? That they have that gift does not mean they must necessarily exercise it. Yes, they must not necessarily exercise it. If I have the flair for a particular thing, and I know that I cannot do that thing because of my state of life as a priest, it will not kill me if I don't. But I could still help others who are into those things by useful advices and suggestions that will help them to do well in whatever field that they have found themselves in. If I am a priest who is into football or into basketball, I must not necessarily play basketball, but I can support with my ideas, with my knowledge, those who are not priests but are into basketball or football. But I cannot be a full-time basketballer. I play basketball, I play football, I do it for fun and for exercise, but
take it up professionally.
I cannot.
So the final question now, before we round up for today, talking about politics now again, can the church, for instance, put its weight behind a candidate? No. Okay.
The church cannot do that. Do you know why? In every parish setting, there are people who have different political ideologies, different affiliations with different political parties and different political candidates. Even in, let's use for example this last elections we just had, general election 2015, in every parish there were people who were strongly behind PDP. There were also people who were strongly behind APC. So if the church comes out to support APC, of course you know that there will be a problem from those who support PDP. And if the church comes out to support PDP, there will also be a problem from those who support APC. Plus, there were also people who were in support of ABGA or COA party, whichever political party. So the church should not get involved with things like that, and the church does not get involved. What the church can do is to tell the people, this is the situation before us. We need people who will be leaders and lead for the sake of service and not for their own sakes. So vote according to your conscience. Do not sell your conscience for anything, and do not use, because of political affiliations, vote for a candidate that you obviously know will not be good for the country. But as for coming out to say, dear parishioners, for example, I'm working in parish, dear parishioners, I want to encourage you today, you know that this election is coming up, and it will be good for you people to vote for this political party or vote for this candidate. That's a no-no. Priests don't do that. The church does not do that.
Thank you, Father, for throwing more light on this particular subject. I've been in the studio today with Reverend Father Silvanus Ame. He's a priest of the Archdiocese of Abuja, the assistant parish priest of St. John the Baptist Parish, Mpape. Is that correct, Mpape?
Correct.
See, at least we've heard from an authority on Let's Talk Catholic. You will be opportune to have direct conversation with authorities on certain subjects like this. Now we have seen why the church does not allow priests to participate actively in politics. Not as if they condemn politics in its entirety, but then for priests, they are not allowed to do that. Let's Talk Catholic is a talk show on wowcatholic.com. We have Reverend Father Silvanus. You can check out his work on fathersly.org. Well, it is being shown at the screen now, like you can see. Like his page and learn some other things with regards to certain subjects like this. Father Sly, thank you very much for coming to the studio.
Thank you for having me. God bless you.
Next time on your favorite talk show, Let's Talk Catholic with Kizito Ozoemena.